huge, ginormous, monumental mistakes that Manchester United were making in the past, that can still happen right now. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's interview on the Overlap has opened up everyone's eyes and everyone's ears to what was going on at this football club, with still some members of the staff that were at fault for a lot of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was throwing United under the bus for. Let's be honest, in this interview on the Overlap, they are still here at the football club right now. It's a warning shot for me. A complete shout out to what is going on right now to Ineos. Direct what you have to do with this football club right now. So much of what was said really does have an impact on what is going on at United right now and how this is so. It just highlights the change that is needed right now under Ineos and the perfect time for this particular interview to come out with what is going on at Manchester United right now. When I get into all of this, was Ronaldo a mistake? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer pretty much says that it was in one way. Well, not, I'm trying to cover it up in another way. What did Murto do wrong with Jude Bellingham? Haaland, plays we've missed out on. We cannot afford to keep running the club this way. We're pretty confident now that that's not going to happen, but let's talk about what was said and what we can definitely look forward to changing in the future here at Manchester United. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Please give the video a like before we get started. And obviously, make sure if you are tuning in for the first time that you hit that subscribe button. Welcome along to the show, everyone. Get your comments in the live section right now. I'm coming straight to you on all of these topics. There's lots to pick out of the actual interview. I'm going to link what Ollie was talking about, what is relevant more or less with what's going on at United right now, because it is important that we look at mistakes that were made and were highlighted by Ollie and what is still going on at the football club right now, because it does match up. It does, and it's quite scary how similar the situation was then and is still there at the football club now. Make sure you drop your comments in after the video is finished as well, guys, when the video is done and it's up on YouTube. So, we're live right now. Everyone is joining in. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. Hope everyone has had a great night. A bit of a ropey night's sleep for me last night, to be honest. But, hey, that's probably thinking ahead to the game against Everton this weekend. No, we're going to win that game. I'm telling you right now, we are definitely going to win the game. I hope you're all doing fantastic, though. Let's get into what has been said in this interview. I think the most important one, again, what shot out to me straight away from the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer piece with Gary Neville was the player power situation at Manchester United yet again. That, for me, is everything that's wrong right now. It was then and is now. And I'm not throwing Cristiano Ronaldo under the bus here, but what I want to do is, everyone knows my opinion on the Ronaldo situation at the time. I love the guy. Absolute legend. I was buzzing when he came to the football club. But it highlighted that the football club had no structure for me. It did. Because in this interview, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talks about what he had going for him at the time, why he bought specific targeted players, how United were playing. And I think it's important to bring up that while he was seen, or he's seen us as, and the stats backed him up as one of the highest pressing teams in the league, with someone like Dan James playing. And I know where you going, Dan James. He was literally comparing how United played with Dan James and with Ronaldo, because with Dan James in the side, Manchester United were able to press. They were able to play a certain style of football. When Cristiano Ronaldo walked through the door, which wasn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's signing really, he was asked by the club if he wanted this to happen. He said yes. He did say them words, but it was a player thrown onto Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that he didn't need at the time. We did not need Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the time. Cavani, Rashford, Greenwood. We already had Jadon Sancho through the door. We had Martial. We already had an abundance of forwards at the time. This is, again, another problem that we can see happening in the future right now. Ronaldo came in. He told Solskjaer when he wanted to play, how many games he was going to play before he was needed to be rested. Straight away, you've got a player coming in who's overshouting the manager, who is dictating what the manager does. Not good enough. This sort of showed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's weakness straight away for me when it was happening. But you cannot have these big name players coming in. And why it's relevant to what's happening now is that, and we've spoke about this plenty of times on the show, why Manchester United should not be going for the big name players. We don't need big name players. Point proven in two cases right now. Ronaldo and Ronaldo. Ronaldo was created at Manchester United. We created that player. No one ever comes back and does well. It does not work. Ronaldo had his moments. We can't deny that. But it does not work going forward. We created Cristiano Ronaldo. We found him. We scouted him. We made sure that we put the best offer on the table. We got him in when he was 18 years old. That's what United should be doing. That type of player that we've talked about constantly, what United should be doing now with the recruitment. And hopefully with Dan Ashworth, Barada, and all the other recruitment side of things and development side, directors and everything like that, we will have that structure in place and can bring something like that back to the football club. But what you've got to look at there is the prime example. A superstar Ronaldo coming back is a different Ronaldo to what was there before. He understood the club, he grew up with the club, and was developed by the club. That's what United should be doing now. We shouldn't be going out buying the Galacticos. We don't need to be doing this, and it is going to be ultimately a massive, massive mistake if we do this. Because right now, United are in a position where we're probably going to be expecting the next manager to come in to not be someone who's handled or is capable of handling big-name players. Ten Hag has obviously clearly struggled with that already, with Ronaldo and trying to get him into his team. Ten Hag was trying to do it the right way. Ten Hag was trying to make Manchester United play a certain way. Ronaldo didn't like it. He spat his dummy out and caused one of the biggest scenes that we've ever seen in world football. Sadly, Ronaldo coming back has tarnished his reputation at the football club. Some would say he hasn't, and he was right in everything that he did. I don't believe that. My personal opinion is that Ten Hag was right in punishing Ronaldo, especially after the interview anyway. Yeah, another interview. Good God, yes. So that right now is where United are at. We need to be finding the pre-Piers Morgan Ronaldos, the younger ones, and bringing them through. The player power was all too clear. We had to move players out of position to accompany Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, that's not right, but again, it also changes how we want to play. Ten Hag is trying to play a certain way and bring a certain player in that fits the mould. I think he's got it wrong with some of his signings. I do believe that he has got an idea where he's going, but it's quite clear that if the club is not going to back you, like they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then you're on the road to you're on the road to disaster. Basically, is where we're at. That brings in the next part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's interview, where he was talking about Jude Bellingham and what happened there and how the club didn't go for Erling Haaland. In 2018, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Manchester United need to sign. He contacted the club before he went there and said that we need to sign this player. He is going to be massive. Again, because Manchester United didn't know about him, or they weren't savvy enough to go out and scout and find these younger players. At the time, you remember it was signing the big players, looking for the big names under Ed Woodward and the old regime and Manchester United's failings. This is what Manchester United used to be. We weren't looking at the up-and-coming stars. We weren't looking at the stars that can be created into megastars. There's two right there, prime examples of how this football club got it wrong. And yes, some people that were involved in ballsing them deals up are still at the football club right now. Now, this is where it's important. We are looking at this as a positive. We can look back on this now and, yeah, it sends a shiver down your spine how for 20 million euros, United could have got Haaland before anyone realised how good he was. We could have got Jude Bellingham. In his words for Jude Bellingham, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought Sir Alex Ferguson in, Eric Cantona, Brian Robson. Everyone spoke to him. He said he was the most mature 17-year-old, that he'd ever met. He already had everything planned out. All he needed was a guarantee of a certain amount of playing time. If you're bringing Sir Alex Ferguson in, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, you know what this kid has got. There's a reason why you're bringing in all the big guns to try and sweeten this deal up for someone. For Manchester United to balls this up, and I did a video on this about Murto and how he cocked all of this up because he was the one who was ultimately in the end in charge of the presentation to Jude Bellingham. All Solskjaer did was make things happen to make it look like United really, really wanted Jude. And Solskjaer did. Two massive players who are now at the elite level and world's best that have just slipped through the net that would have cost United next to nothing, and we could not get them deals done. That man is still in situ at this football club. Get out, Get out now, Murto. Get away from this football club because you have literally set us back years. Look at these players that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on his own. This is the same Ole Gunnar Solskjaer whose transfer committee and whose scouts rated Antony at 20 million. 20 million. Yes, he would have been younger than when he was coming to fruition at Ajax. But the same Ole Gunnar Solskjaer team which rated Antony at 20 million back in the day. How did he jump up 65 million in bleeding 2 years? Oh, yes, there he is again. John Murto, everybody. Just sort it out. I know that is a thing in the past. I wanted to bring up this interview with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer today just to prove that Manchester United were doing everything wrong. Absolutely everything wrong. And them days are done. Manchester United are looking forward, and mistakes like that, hopefully, because mistakes are still going to be made. I'm not going to say that these are the oracles coming in and everything's going to be fantastic. You know what I mean? Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, they've probably made mistakes in their careers. And you've got to look at it and go, well, United they were ignorant to what everyone else was doing. Absolutely ignorant to the way that football clubs should be run. They thought they were the best. They thought they knew the best. And in the end, they're the ones that made the mistakes and put Man United back nearly half a decade, even more. Even more. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at everything that was said with Ronaldo, Bellingham, Haaland, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in this interview, and I'm spinning it into a massive positive for us going forward, because right now we're looking at rectifying them mistakes, which probably, let's be honest, if your recruitment team was right, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably would still be in a job, because he would have had two of the world's best players in his team right now, because they would have just be coming to mature age of where they are right now. And we would have had Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland in our team for what? Less than, 40 million? Wow. That is the reality of what has happened there with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the reality of how poor Manchester United were run these years gone by. And now that's changing. Yes, we've missed out, but you can only look forward. Looking forward means that we have got a new structure coming in, and Manchester United under Ineos, and this, I feel, is Ole's warning shot. Gary Neville is not stupid. He is not stupid. I think there's been a deliberate ploy from Gary Neville to bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in right now. Doing this, he could have done this ages ago. He could have got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in before the David Beckham one. You know what I mean by this? The interviews that he's doing at the moment on the overlap. He has been very, very clever and very crafty in this for me. And you can say it's another one about my little conspiracy theories or anything like that. But Ineos are in touch with Gary Neville. I think he's brought him in, and I think it's been a deliberate ploy to make it very clear how poorly Manchester United were being run back in the day. Just on the eve of all of Manchester United's new structure and everything moving forward is about to be announced. I think it's perfect timing. Absolute spot-on timing for Gary Neville to bring this one in right now. I honestly, I look at these little things, me, and it's just me and my opinions and how my head works, but you know what you like when you sat there like that and you're thinking, when you look at it and you look at all the detail of everything that's gone on, the interviews that Gary Neville's done, everything that's happening at United right now, the timings of everything, and we know that Gary Neville is involved and spoken with United, like I've just said, regarding the infrastructure around Old Trafford. So, very interesting how he's brought him in now, just to prove a point, I feel, because he would have known, I think, Gary Neville already about some of the things that were mentioned and talked about in this interview. I think he would have known, and I think he's just brought it out to the public eye, and everyone now is just heightened again and just thinking about Manchester United. A simple interview on the overlap has just got everyone looking at United. I mean, there's Champions League football going on right now, and no one's talking about it because United have brought in, or Neville has brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I've done this interview, and we're talking about what Manchester United have done in the past and where we've made massive mistakes. The Jude Bellingham one is the biggest clanger of all time. How we balls that up. Yes, you could say that a 17-year-old demanding certain amounts of game time is a bit too much. You cannot give in to players like that at that age. But at the price it was, and let's be honest, Solskjaer knew. He knew what this kid was. You wouldn't have done what you did and brought everyone in to make this look like the best thing since sliced bread. We had him there, at Carrington. We could have got that deal done. Murto ballsed it up, completely ballsed it up. I remember reading the Mark Ogden piece in ESPN, and I remember talking to you guys about this, going into detail about working under the Glazers and how certain members of staff have absolutely just kiboshed deals and looked the other way for certain deals because of certain image rights and it not fitting into a certain part of the football club. Bellingham was known as someone coming through. Bellingham wasn't the big superstar that he is now, and that's how United look at things. It really is, and really was. Sorry, it really was, not really is, because thank God that isn't how we look at it right now. But this, for me, I feel is all timed to perfection, and I think is part of the master plan going forward. I do. That's just my whole look on that side of things. There are some more things that I want to talk about in a minute, but on everything that we've just spoken about there, I'm going to come to the chat now and see where you guys are at. With everything. UK Strange, we've got thick people at the top of this club. The brand is more important than winning. It's obvious that's the way it is at Manchester United. Yep. Reggie, to be fair, when Erik ten Hag wanted Antonet, he was 35 million. I think it was more than that, to be honest. But still, he was cheaper. You're right about that, Red. Because of Murto and his slow negotiation, it went up to 80 because Ajax couldn't buy a replacement anymore. Yeah, Edwin van der Sar said he's going to take United to the cleaners for as much as they can now. I remember him coming out and saying it. Fergie Golf, Adam, with what Ollie was on about, has made me even more Ten Hag in. It does make you feel that way, doesn't it? It makes you feel like everything that's wrong at the club, you just want a manager just to see out a course just so it can prove that there was a real problem with the people that the Glazers employed to run Manchester United. John Murto messed up Bellingham deal. Yeah, Carl, he 100% did. I think he said that before I just went into it. Please give the video a like, guys, as well. Just creeping up to the 100 mark. Andrew Shaw, I bet Bellingham is delighted now that he did not join United. And yes, Murto should go. Murto should go. That is trending. Let's get it trending. No, I don't mean. I'm not that type of person pushing out. It's just because it rhymed. Lee Dixon, at United, we've always had 4 top strikers. Why have we only got Rasmus? Exactly. 17 Dragons. Adam, sorry, bro. United is a mess and has been before Fergie left. We had a successful team and backroom and let Moyes replace our winning backroom staff. Then now we act like Erik ten Hag is not a shambles. You look at what happened with David Moyes. I think Ed Woodward allowed David Moyes to do what he did so he could gain the power. David Moyes was a disposable asset for me in Ed Woodward's eyes. I think he just said, look, he can go, but I'm not going to go. I'm still going to be in this role of power. It was about power for him, I feel, more than anything. And he wanted to be the one that was pulling all the strings and the big name. So ultimately, I think it was just absolute sacrifice on United's part and the staff's part, and United suffered from it just for their own personal gains. That's how it was, I felt, back in the day. Gehan says we need to move out to all the losers in the summer that are that adds to about 12 players. We have to get this done if we want real change. Hopefully that does happen with the right team in place. Good afternoon, Graham, to you as well, my friend. Hope you're well. Rory C. It's all pointless, though, if player power remains. Looking at Rashford specifically there, I think he's a huge issue. And why I wanted to talk about the interview again regarding player power, because I talked about Ronaldo coming in and telling Solskjaer exactly what amount of games he was going to play, when he was going to be rested. By the way, he kicked off, Ollie said, when he rested him. So Ronaldo came in and said, I'm playing these 3 games and rest me in the 4th. He thought, oh, there's a man that actually knows exactly how old he is and how he is sort of coming to the end. And then he said he kicked off when he rested him in the 4th game. Straight away, he came in and said, I don't care who he is. And this, for me, is this goes back to the old saying that Sir Alex Ferguson says, if the manager is not the most important person in the room when it comes to the coaching staff and the team, forget about everyone above them, that's a different conversation. But when it comes to the team and the managers, the season's done, the transfer windows are shut. If the manager isn't in charge and has lost control, and you've got a player coming in, no matter how big he is or how successful he's been, telling the manager what's going to happen, it's over. It's done. The moment that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer accepted Ronaldo was going to be telling him what games he's playing, he lost. He lost. I said at the time, and I remember it well, that Cristiano Ronaldo will be the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He pretty much proved the point in the interview with the overlap by saying, look, he had to move and change things around. He couldn't be the pressing team with Ronaldo in it. We had a system going. We did not need Cristiano Ronaldo in this team. We did not need to be buying him. And the club forced it on him, it would seem. Solskjaer said in the interview he wanted to do the MUTV interview afterwards because he wanted to do it right. He doesn't agree with people just going away quietly and then slagging him off 2 months later. He said that. So I feel like Solskjaer, really, this was his way of coming back and trying to be as nice as he possibly can, because he is a nice guy. I'm putting it across now. After doing the interview with MUTV, getting all emotional, you did feel it was genuine for me with Solskjaer. I just think he just wasn't good enough in the end, and it got a bit too much for him. It finished and it ended with Ronaldo. I'm telling you that now. No one will change my mind on that. You cannot allow a player to come in, and Solskjaer has opened up the can of worms on this for me. The players come in, and the club have allowed the player to come in and dictate to our manager how many games he's going to be playing and when he's going to be rested. I'm sorry, no. You get back in the changing room with everyone else, son. You're just a number on a shirt. This is my team. I'm in charge of it. And as soon as a player thinks he can dictate, game over. Right now, we're hearing stories about Marcus Rashford not only winding Erik ten Hag up, but there was another story last night, and this is why it sort of transitions into the modern day side of Manchester United for what Ollie was talking about, because Rashford now apparently has upset a lot of the players as well. Not everyone is completely happy with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Marcus Rashford, and he has sort of lost some of his status within the squad. That's what's being reported. So I love it. No, I don't love it. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. I would love it if the message that was coming across from this, and why I'm convinced Gary Neville, again, I'll keep saying it, has done this now with Solskjaer. The message coming across is the next manager has to be 100% backed by the structure and has to have full power when all is said and done and everything is in place. And by that I mean, like I just alluded to, right now the structure, I'm picking the players, selling the players, everyone's in as one unit. But as soon as that transfer window closes, it's manager, coaching staff and players. That's all that needs to be involved. They are everything that you need. Yes, you've got the recruitment side. You've got all of the directors of football and things that can help and are there to go to with certain situations. Ten Hag, if it is him managing or if it's the new manager coming in, all he will be thinking about is the next game and the next game and the next game. Who's fit, who's available, strategies, formations, tactics, fitness, everything like that. That's all he needs to be doing. Everything else is being dealt with by the people above him. They're in charge of making sure them players are going to Carrington in the best physical and mental state possible, with that one vision of being best in class, and that means on the pitch and Manchester United competing for trophies every single season. That's why Gary Neville's done this interview now. That's the message coming from it, just on the eve of Ineos taking their full control of Manchester United, and the big power players that are coming into the club within the structure are about to be announced. It's all rolling into one, and I feel is the reason why we're all talking about it right now. I do. I said a lot there, didn't I? Let's get into some of your comments. Graham says, long story, bear with me, says Graham. Tommy Muller Nelson, United scout, had a really good relationship with Alf Inge Haaland. Very good, Graham. That's not a long story though, is it, mate? All right, he goes on. Sorry, Graham, I do apologise. Write down the list in the live comments. There is another part to that story. I will just continue it for the sake of it, because I was laughing at you then wrongly. Sorry. Alf Inge didn't consider United might want Erling, but was pleasantly upbeat following discussions with Tommy Muller Nielsen. Well, There you go. It looks like with the lines that Graham's got more to it. He does. Alfie Inger said, we are talking to Salzburg, but if United rings us at 9 a.m. Norway time, we will definitely listen. Yeah, I could see that completely happening. That's Graham's experience on that. And it pretty much falls into line with what Graham's saying there about Manchester United, because Solskjaer said in 2018 that you have to buy this player. This was before Salzburg came in and before we started scoring goals for Salzburg, which then enticed in Juventus and Dortmund, and everyone was bidding after him. Manchester United weren't within that thinking or running as a football club that way at that time. Like I said, it was the big names, it was the big shirt sailors. That's where United's focus was when it came to recruitment. It was poor. It was absolutely dreadful, to be honest. And as excited as we all got with certain signings, and they were good players, it just didn't fit to what was going on at the football club at the time. And it turned into a bit of a farce, to be honest. It was a bit of a joke. It really was. Our scouting is horrendous. Signings for years have been shocking, says Lee. Ronaldo was shirt sales, corporate United dollar signs, says Stephen. Clement, I feel like Man United should look at these players. They refuse to take the captaincy. How do you even get them to play the football that the manager wants? Erik ten Hag should stay and the players must go. What he's alluding to there, Clement, was another piece in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer interview where he said when it came to a captain or the club captain being out, everyone, obviously it was then a group decision as to who actually would be the captain in his place. And nobody said no, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, in terms of being the captain, but no one actually fronted him or came to him. Nobody actually said, I want to do it. It was all done through other people. So other members of the team would come up and say, I think it should have been him or him. No one actually had the front to come up and speak to Solskjaer, he said. And he said it was really disappointing. It was bitter, in his words. So, yeah, again, leaks. He talked about them. I reckon that's where it all sort of stems from. He also went into the social media side of things, which is massive. And he says players 100% do listen to social media. They may not, but their agents, their families, their friends, they all do. And it does come back, and the players do listen, do read, and watch what happens on social media. So it was good that Solskjaer actually did put that to bed and say, look, they're not going to see it. No, it's quite clear they are going to see it. They see everything. And I think that is important in this. And he just thought it was so easy for people to leak news out of the club. It was. And that is another thing, which I think Gary Neville knew was going to come out. And Gary Neville is massively against. He's always said this. Again, highlighting a massive issue that there was at Manchester United just on the eve of a complete change and restructure of the football club. I think it's deliberate again. Ronaldo should come back to Old Trafford, says Michael. No, never. He's always welcome back, don't get me wrong, but not to play. He's done and dusted. I think Ronaldo turned out to be the end of Solskjaer, like I said. He was a good player at United. He was fantastic before it. He was the world's best before that. But it was coming to an end. And I just don't think United thought it through properly. I thought we got suckered in by Mendes in tempting City in, and then knowing that we would come in for him. They knew, Ronaldo's people, George Mendes knew that as soon as City were mentioned in the same breath with Cristiano Ronaldo, United would have to go in and counter. And I feel like that was a setup for United, and we fish hooked, gone straight in there like we always are, and we got taken advantage of. Again, something else that really cannot happen now, and I don't think will happen. And I go back to what I said at the top of this show when I said that I'm talking about this in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer interview as a massive, massive positive for us right now, because that era and how bad it was, and as glowing as Ole's talking about it, at the same time, he is showing in a dark light what Manchester United was. Now, he's a nice guy, and he's trying to come across well in this whole show with Gary Neville, but he is just out in the club in every single sentence, talking about everything. He was talking about players that weren't up for pre-match interviews. How certain players were worried about what the questions were going to be. It's ridiculous. It really is. Like, United should be on top of that sort of thing. Again, I think more changes afoot. And if you want to know why Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done this audit and is employing people, so you'd think Omar Barada, CEO, best in class, deals with all the transfer mainly contract negotiations and what players are worth, times to move them on. You've got Dan Ashworth, head of recruitment and development, things like that. Then you've got the other two roles, which we're looking at, probably Wilcox and it looks like Dougie Freedman. Experience. All of the problems that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been taking away. And let's look at this. We know that Ineos have spoken to staff at United and old staff that have gone by. We know this has happened. I guarantee one of them has been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We know we've spoken to Ralph Rangnick. So we know there's definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been more than open. He's come out and done an interview on the overlap. So behind closed doors, knowing that your name's not going to go out there and people won't know that you've spoken to Ineos, he would have definitely spoken to him. And all of these little things, like the players' worries with social media, the players' worries with doing interviews about certain questions that were going to be asked, dealing with player egos, the manager being the most important man. All of these people are being put in place to stop all of this happening, and it's their job to actually pick out the manager that is going to be able to handle these players after they've done their job. So they have to pick the right manager that's going to make them look good, because they're going to do their jobs to the max. It's then their job to make sure that the manager below them is going to be able to get the best out of what they have done off the pitch to make these players 100% ready to produce on it. So that is the whole package. When you're talking about packages, changes of structure and everything like that, that's what this is. That's where United are going. And I think Gary Neville knows this. He understands how football clubs are run. He understands how important it is and the pressure that are on players when it comes to playing at the highest level. You need that support base around you. You need someone to go to. I said it yesterday. There is a ladder at United right now which just gets bigger and bigger the further up you go. You come down, the manager right now is no longer the most important person at Manchester United. The famous words that Sir Alex Ferguson said, not one person at the football club is bigger than the manager. Well, that's changed. That has had to change. And why Sir Alex Ferguson left in the first place, I feel, like he knew that this was coming. He knew that all this change was coming. So you've got the manager and his coaching team. Then you've got the likes of development side of things, Wilcox, Dougie Freedman, recruitment, director of football, Dan Ashworth. So it's like Wilcox, you got Dougie Freedman a step above that. You've got Dan Ashworth a step above that. Then you go into Omar Barada above that. And you've got Jean-Claude Blanc above that, alongside Sir David Brailsford. Not that he's the most football knowledgeable person in the world, no disrespect. Obviously, he will say that himself. But this is why Sir Jim Ratcliffe has placed him for what he does and how he operates in bringing the best out of certain people, next to one of the most experienced men in the world of sport, in the commercial side and sporting side, in Jean-Claude Blanc, and then the man himself, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. It's a team. It is a structure of the best in class, like Sir Jim Ratcliffe said in his interview, that Manchester United need to have to get the best, ultimately, out of the most important people when it comes to the sporting side of things, which are the players. Everything is in line and put in position to make them the best of what they are. And that, I feel, is why this interview was so good. Because it just reminded United fans that that era is ended. And now we are moving forward into the new chapter of Manchester United. And it is crucial. And this is why United will wait for Dan Ashworth. It's why we will wait for anyone else. If it's Dougie Freedman, if it's gardening leave for him, if it's gardening leave for Wilcox or whoever we're bringing in, Ineos don't care, because they know the long-term game is having that structure in place and the right people, the best in class. They will need them in sooner rather than later still. I understand that because of what we said before regarding what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said about the 3-year project. It needs to start moving along quite rapidly, really. New member in the house is Nikos P, gifted by Fred. Thank you so much, Fred. And welcome to the Members Club, Nikos. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I'm going to come into the chat right now. Guys, can you please give the video a like? And also download our SofaScore app. It is completely free, guys, so you might as well just do it. It is the best football app out there, as well as other sports. All of your team's information, transfer news, injury news, build up to games, in-game stats, action, everything that you need right to your phone or your desktop device. The best that there is out there. One of the best apps going, and rated in the top 20 on the App Store as well. Completely free. It helps the channel, and obviously it gives you guys access to one of the greatest databases there is out there on the apps for stats and football news. So get on it. Get on it, people. I promise you will not be disappointed. It's free, for God's sake. UK Strange. Ollie looks so much healthier now he's away from Manchester United. We are not the club we once knew. No, I have no faith in Ineos. Dougie Freedman only brought players in from the Championship, but they are now worth a lot more, Dave. Let's not forget that, and are performing at a Premiership level. Is that not what we would like? Maybe bringing him up to a new level, working alongside Dan Ashworth's catalogue of players. You know what I mean, where I'm going with that one? Updates on Dan Ashworth, by the way. Ben Jacobs has been talking on that one regarding Dan Ashworth. Brighton CEO Paul Barber on Dan Ashworth and Manchester United. I keep joking with Dan that if he does any more gardening leave, he'll be the most skilled landscape gardener in the country. If clubs are going to take each other's staff, there has to be financial compensation to shorten the notice period, or they have got to expect there is going to be a long wait. And the long wait is designed to protect our processes, our targets, our thinking. It's only fair, and Dan is a very fair guy. He will be the first to accept that this is the way it is, and the ball is firmly in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's court. So, again, negotiations will go on and on and on regarding Dan Ashworth and what's happening there. It'll be the same with Dougie Freedman probably as well. This is where you sort of try to build relationships up so you can sort of get the up on it straight away with deals like this. But it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work, isn't it? I love how Adam discusses these things without going on a rant and slagging the chat off. No, everyone's open in the chat, Stu. This is what it's about. Gabriel, if Ineos won't implement a new structure before the summer, our next season is a write-off. Concerns about that are my own as well, Gabriel. You're dead right about that, because I read something the other day that, according to United and reports coming out of the football club, is that everything is as it was going into this summer. So it's effectively right now, the plan for the summer is Ten Hag's and John Murtough's. So you're like, oh, for God's sake, please speed it up. Please speed it up. It is, isn't it? That's what you're thinking. It's what's the word I'm looking for there? It's concerning. Whereas we want to be patient and we see the long game, you're like, God, no, please don't give us another season with these two. Oh, my God. Yeah. Judge and jury, I'm late to the party today, but I've brought a like with me. You can come walk in fast and be late anytime you want, buddy. Mike Fergus, Adam, can you get Alex on the show? I miss seeing him on screen. His views about United were great. Alex, who? Mike, just let me know which one. There are a few Alexes out there. Premiership is rugby, Adam. That's from Graham. No idea what you're talking about. Dobby, Ollie was also cooked by Rashford. Remember that infamous apology Ollie made to Rashford during the press conference. Screw his 30 goals last season. Rashford needs to go. Still more people going on Rashford. I can just see the player power now being firmly in Rashford's hands. And I still stand by, like, he is the monster. Cut the head off him, and the rest will fall into place. By that, I mean, not literally. I mean, just sell him. I don't want to see anyone die. No, it's not right. We should be looking at Tim Steidten, West Ham head of recruitment. Brought in Paqueta, Soucek, Kudus, Alvarez. Liverpool sniffing, found him. There are probably several people in roles at clubs that are seen as probably the best in class by certain sections of the football world. There really are. There are good people out there. Manchester United haven't got any. So if, well, let's put it this way. If Manchester United apply anyone, it's going to be an upgrade in what we've had, because we haven't had anyone in them roles. That's the problem we've got right now. We're jumping onto everything, looking at it as a positive, and it is. But really, this is our first time delving into this world, so it's probably no surprise why it's taking so long to get everything in place. That's what I think it is. We do need to make sure that these people are right. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said it best in class. Interesting bit from, again, going into Ten Hag, and Ten Hag probably being sacked. It's like Sir Jim Ratcliffe mentioned in his interview about we needing to be in the Champions League for financial fair play. Since he's had that interview, we've lost every single league game too. I did over sort of hype it a bit there, sorry. But yeah, we're on a bad run since Sir Jim's mentioned the Champions League places. So hopefully we can turn that around this weekend. More on the game against Everton coming up, obviously. Early kick-off this weekend, guys. New member in the house. Mark Langbridge, thank you so much, Mark. I hope you're enjoying your day, and welcome to the legendary members club. That is FUTV. We have 5 gifted memberships from Gabrielle as well. Massive thank you, my friend. Really appreciate that. Their memberships have gone to Boxing Straight Talk, Ginger Bish, Ramo, USS45, Popeye, Wolves Blitz. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And then Frankie Jazz 24/7 as well. All of you are more than welcome into the legendary members pot. Thank you so much for that, Gabrielle. That was absolutely amazing. You didn't need to do that, but really appreciated, as every other contribution to the channel always is. It goes right back in to bring you guys the best content that we possibly can. We are back outside tomorrow with more different content coming up for you guys. We're mixing it up a little bit towards the back end of this week, so keep tuned in for that as well, guys. The Premier League is the Premier League. The Premiership is Rugby Unions League. Graham, that's petty. You're talking about players now not telling Ollie about the captaincy, mate. You're falling into that category, Graham. Come on, my friend. You're just literally clutching there. You need to be better than that as well. I thought more of you. Nikos, Rashford puts his hand up to come off in Ollie's last game. Watford, half-time, sell him ASAP. Forgot about that. I was at that game. It was horrendous. That was horrendous, that game. I've never felt so... Like, the games this season have been the pits, but nothing compares to the pure hatred and negative, toxic atmosphere that was Vicarage Road that day. You know what I mean? When Solskjaer goes up to the fans and he starts getting slagged off, then Bruno comes to protect him. Bruno has to be pulled away by Fred. Oh, God, yeah, not good at all. Them days, God, don't take me back there. That was horrible. That was just beyond. That was like the worst I've ever felt as a United fan that day. It was horrendous. Amy says, don't like how we don't have a 3 p.m. Eastern USA Standard Time match. EPL needs to change up how they schedule stuff. That will probably happen in the past. That was in the future. I'm guessing things will always change. Adam, the new structure at the club is exciting, but it has to transfer itself onto the pitch. I just said that, Anthony. That definitely is right. We need to make massive calls on the squad. Otherwise, it's all just a lip service. Stop sacking the managers. I think it's going to come down to managers and players this time. The core of bad eggs, I think we are going to be getting rid of some what I call Klingons this summer, especially. The likes of Lindelof and Martial definitely going. That's a positive for me. It needs to move on. I'm not disrespecting any player in particular or going in on a certain player, but it does. There is a time when you naturally have to move on anyway, and United just don't do that. So again, another part of the structure would be, and where Omar Barada comes in, is knowing when players need to be moved on. When contracts are up for renewal, he will make it very, very clear to the ownership and to United that this is what this player is worth now. This is within the parameters of financial fair play to do this, to do that. It's pretty much like the NFL and how they work in terms of what they can afford, what packages they can afford in terms of wages and transfer fees and things like that. It's got to be within a certain budget. He will be doing all of that behind the scenes. So when it comes to renewals, straight away, it's not going to take an age because you've got to wait for a decision off Joe Glazer. What's going to happen is you're going to get someone who's already sat there, worked everything out, and knows exactly where every player is and where they are in their contracts, how much their value is, their age, contributions, injury history, what he can get. This is what this man does. And having someone like that behind the scenes, I think, is gold for Manchester United. And I think the days of dragging our heels over contract extensions and things like that and just trying to keep a player's value by giving him another contract, I think these days are all gone. And it's just like the players that Solskjaer was mentioning in his interview, like Maguire's being the leaders, Fred's. And Roy Keane did have a funny look on his face when he mentioned Fred. Them days of them types of player, they're coming to an end. They are. Harry Maguire, for what he's done this season, credit to him for turning it around, but his contract's up for renewal. He's just turned 31. No one's going to be looking to spend fortunes on him. I think he's going to walk out the door on a free, and that'll be next season, I think. I don't think he's going to be on the list to go this summer unless real drastic changes are afoot. I think they will target the likes of Varane. Obviously, Lindelof, we're going to be losing Johnny anyway. But it's time a certain player of a certain age needed to go. A 3-year plan means you're bringing in someone now, in this window, to develop, ready, and to be the best, to be competing by the time that third year comes around. That's how I see it anyway. But, yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Domingo OT, Erik ten Hag, and the majority of this squad need to go, and we need to move forward and close this decade of woe. Yep, we do need to close it. Whether or not it is going to happen with Ten Hag, Solskjaer did talk about Ten Hag as well in that interview. He said, look, I hope he does well. I hope he succeeds. I wish him all the best. The only thing that can change anything now, though, is success from now until the end of the season. He understands. Solskjaer knows the writing's on the wall. Unless Ten Hag can turn Manchester United around and pretty much win, I'd say 7 to 8 of the last 11 league games, then we are done and dusted with Erik ten Hag, I feel. So look at it. I'll go through the games quickly right now with you. So we've got Everton. So the games at home we've got left, just off the top of my head, and I may miss some out here on this, so bear with me. So we've got at home, we've got Everton this weekend. We've still got to play Burnley, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Newcastle. I don't know if there's one more in there. I think that's it. The away games we've got Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton. Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton. Who else have we got away from home to play? Oh, I'm trying to remember now. I'm missing a few. Oh, yeah, Crystal Palace. We've got to go there as well. So there's 4 away games. There is one more that I've not got yet that's just popping into my head. And I'm mentioning games there. So if I said that we need to win 7 to 8 games to get in the Champions League, which I think is what it's going to be, then just mentioning Arsenal at home, Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, them games alone, then you're worried that we're going to take maybe, 1 point, 3 points max out of them. So there's 2 games gone, 2 losses at least. I think we'll lose to Liverpool and Arsenal. I worry for all of them games. Oh, Chelsea away we've got as well. Sorry, that's the other one, the last one. We got some travelling to do, haven't we? So what have you got there? You got London, Chelsea, London, Brentford, London, Palace. All crap grounds to get to. Brentford not too bad, but the other two, crap. And you got Brighton, Bournemouth. Say no more. Other end of the world. Oh, good God. I don't feel confident in any of the away games at all. I really don't. Wow. Yeah. So, Solskjaer talking about Ten Hag and his time at United and what he needs to do. Success on the pitch is paramount right now. It all depends on what happens from now until the end of the season. It's very difficult to see United picking up enough points out of them games that we just mentioned. No, not just because of United, but because of where the other clubs are as well. I think the other teams that we're up against are decent opposition. Our record at Chelsea speaks for itself. The one at Brighton speaks for itself. Brentford, do I need to say any more? Again, last season's nightmare still lingers in every United fan's heads. Arsenal at home, we've seen how they're playing. My God, they're scary. Liverpool, title chasing Liverpool. And then in the end, you've got the FA Cup, which is another saviour, but we've got Liverpool again. I just don't think United can beat Manchester City, so we're not going to win a trophy. We would need a miracle to get our hands on the FA Cup for me. I think it probably more than likely, if you're being realistic, it's going to come to an end in the quarterfinals in a couple of weeks against Liverpool. If it does, then I really can see the writing on the wall for Erik ten Hag. There's nothing much left to play for. And then you're just counting the games down. You really are. This next group of games, I mean, I think we'll beat Everton. I really do think we'll beat Everton. It'll be a great bonus if we've got Rasmus Højlund back in the team. And so we've got Everton. I think we'll pick up the 3 points there. And we may close the gap on Villa or Tottenham, if not both, because they're playing each other this weekend. So that's good for us. But then Liverpool and Brentford, the end of March. Going into April, it could be curtains for old Eric. It really could. Oh, God, yeah. We need to be lucky. We need players back. The mystery of Mason Mount, someone needs to go and get Poirot in, try and figure out what's going on here. It's ridiculous. It's getting beyond the joke. It's like we don't even know what the bleeding injury is. The Malacia mystery, the Mason Mount mystery. It's like, what is going on? We need some luck with injuries, and we need things to go our way in this last 11 games. God, I can't believe it is only 11. Is it 11 games? What are we on? 27? Yeah, it is. 11 games to go. Wow. So it is, what, 6 at home and 5 away. That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah. Jesus. That's scary, that, when you think about it. It does actually bring into focus how close the end of the season is, and, like, how much time Erik ten Hag has got left at this football club. Crazy. Emmy Long. Adam, Johnny Evans is a good cover coming on off the bench. He gives his all for the club and the manager. I would give him a year's contract. In my book, he has done well. Not like Rashford. Do you agree? I do agree that Johnny Evans has been a shining light this season. He really has. Massive, massive kudos and credit to that man. Brilliant this season. And yeah, you know what? I can see why we would give him another contract, and then there's a part of it, it's like, should we just be moving on and not clinging on to the old? But if a player's good enough, then it's probably worth it. I understand both sides of it. Yeah, guys, that pretty much does sum up the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Something a little bit different going into that interview on Solskjaer, but it does relate to the now as well. Get your comments in as well. Over 200 likes, loads of members and super chats. Thank you so much, guys, for your contribution to the show today. Really appreciate you tuning in, as always. It has been a ball. It's been a blast, and we will be back. Stay tuned for the up-and-coming content over the next few days as well, guys. But first things first, 6:30 tonight. I'll see you all there. Have a great rest of your day. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. I'm out of here. I'll see you in a bit.